Amidst the towering skyscrapers and bustling crowds of New York City, a young black girl with bright, wide eyes quietly observes the world around her. Lily, 8 years old, lives with her mother in a small apartment, their life simple but filled with love. One afternoon on her way home from school, Lily encounters Thomas, a white homeless man with a haggard appearance and sad eyes. Lily's small act of kindness, sharing her only sandwich, unfolds into an unexpected and touching story that touches the hearts of millions. The story of Lily and the homeless man will make you believe in the magical power of kindness and love. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow other meaningful stories. The gloomy April sky casts a dull color over the old apartment complex. Light spring rain falls, pattering on the tin roof, blending with the blaring horns and the sharp cries of street vendors echoing from the narrow alleyway. Amidst the noisy and bustling atmosphere, Lily's small apartment on the 3rd floor seems completely isolated. Inside the apartment, Lily, an 8-year-old girl with healthy brown skin, sits by the window, engrossed in her drawing. Her big, round, black eyes shine with joy, her innocent smile like a warm ray of sunshine dispelling the coldness of the rainy day. Her curly black hair is neatly tied with a red ribbon, occasionally swaying to the rhythm of the colored pencil moving across the paper. Lily is drawing a happy family, a father, a mother, and a little girl. She colors the picture brightly, imagining the joyful laughter and warm hugs she has never experienced. Lily's father left when she was very young, leaving the two of them to rely on each other. Mary, Lily's mother, is a hard-working woman with a face etched with the hardships of time and the worries of life. She works as a cleaner for a company near their home, toiling day and night to earn money to raise her daughter. Despite their difficult life, Mary always tries to give Lily the best she can. She teaches her to read and write, sings her cheerful songs, and tells her magical fairy tales. Their small apartment consists of only one bedroom and a living room that doubles as a kitchen. The walls are peeling, stained with dampness and mold. An old television sits on a rickety wooden shelf, their only source of entertainment. The dining table is a small plastic one, placed close to the window. On the walls, Lily's drawings are neatly hung, adding a touch of vibrancy to the space. Despite living in poverty, Lily remains optimistic and cheerful. She finds joy in simple things, watching sparrows chirping on branches, playing games with the neighborhood children, or simply reading stories with her mother. Lily's bright smile is a great source of encouragement that helps Mary overcome life's difficulties. As evening falls, Mary returns from work, bringing with her the chill of the drizzle and the unpleasant smell from her cleaning job. Lily runs to greet her mother, her eyes sparkling. "Mom, today I drew a picture of our family," Lily tells her mother, her voice as clear as a silver bell. Mary smiles and hugs Lily. "My daughter is so talented. Let me see." She looks at the picture, her eyes filled with sadness. Lily notices this, and she hugs her mother, whispering, "When I grow up, I'll make a lot of money so you don't have to work so hard anymore. We'll have a big, beautiful house with a flower garden and a puppy too." Mary hugs Lily tightly, tears streaming down her cheeks. "You're such a good girl. Just having you by my side makes me happy." In that small apartment, the sacred bond between mother and daughter was like a warm flame, warming them through difficult days and nurturing dreams of a brighter future. The afternoon sun painted the small street leading back to the apartment complex in a golden hue. A gentle breeze rustled, carrying with it falling yellow leaves. Birds chirped on branches, their song blending with the laughter of children returning home from school, echoing through the streets. Lily hummed a cheerful tune as she walked, her small backpack bouncing on her shoulder. She was eager to return home and tell her mother about the interesting things that happened at school. Suddenly, Lily stopped. Under the old oak tree by the roadside, a huddled figure caught her attention. It was a white homeless man, his appearance haggard, his clothes ragged and faded from the sun and rain. His thin coat was not enough to shield him from the autumn chill, and his slender shoulders trembled. Lily curiously approached. The man's face was gaunt, etched with hardship and grimy with street dust. His deep blue eyes, which must have been beautiful once, were now filled with sadness and fatigue. deep wrinkles on his forehead, and the corners of his eyes testified to a life full of hardship. His sparse gray hair fluttered in the wind. His unkempt white beard further accentuated the sorrow on his face. The man sat motionless, his arms wrapped tightly around himself as if trying to find some warmth. Lily stood still, watching, a strange feeling rising in her small heart. She had never seen anyone look so pitiful. Suddenly, Lily heard a soft gurgling sound coming from the man's stomach. She realized with a start that he was hungry. In her backpack was a meat sandwich her mother had made for her snack. Without hesitation, Lily stepped closer and held out the sandwich to the man. "I'd like to offer you this, sir," Lily said, her voice soft but sincere. The man looked up, his blue eyes meeting Lily's with surprise and hesitation. He looked at the sandwich, then back at the girl, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. The man hesitated, his calloused hand gently rubbing his growling stomach. He tried to force a smile, his voice hoarse with shame. "It's okay, child. I'm not hungry." But his treacherous stomach gurgled again, betraying his lie. Lily giggled, her black eyes sparkling with mischief. "You can't fool me, sir. Your tummy is rumbling," Lily said, her tone both teasing and compassionate. "I know you're hungry. Please eat it. Don't be shy." She resolutely held out the sandwich, her eyes pleading. The man looked at Lily, feeling the sincerity and warmth radiating from her. He had no choice but to accept the sandwich, his voice choked with emotion. "Thank you, child. You're so kind." Lily grinned, her eyes curving like crescent moons. She sat down next to the man, her little legs dangling. "What's your name, sir?" she asked, her voice as clear as a stream. "My name is Thomas," the man replied, taking a large bite of the sandwich. The delicious taste spread through his mouth, dispelling the gnawing hunger. "And my name is Lily," the girl introduced herself, her eyes shining. "I'm 8 years old." Thomas nodded, his eyes looking at Lily with tenderness. He felt an unusual warmth in his heart. The girl's sincere concern warmed his old, lonely soul. "What grade are you in?" Thomas asked, trying to make conversation. "I'm in 3rd grade," Lily replied, excitedly talking about school and friends. Thomas listened attentively, occasionally smiling and nodding. He felt as if he had just found a small ray of light in his dark life. The fading sunlight cast a warm glow on the two figures sitting beneath the old oak tree. The autumn breeze continued to blow, but Thomas no longer felt cold. Perhaps the warmth from little Lily's kind heart had dispelled the chill of the autumn evening and the coldness in his soul. As dusk settled, the sky was painted in vibrant hues of red and orange. The last rays of sunlight danced on the ground, stretching the shadows of the two figures under the oak tree into fantastical shapes. The autumn wind blew stronger, carrying the chill of the approaching night. Lily shivered, feeling the coolness seep through her thin coat. She looked up at the sky, noticing the crimson hues giving way to a deep purple. Twinkling stars began to emerge, like tiny diamonds scattered across a velvet canvas. Lily knew she had to get home before it got completely dark. She stood up, dusted off her dress, and looked at Thomas with a hint of reluctance. "Sir, it's getting dark. I have to go home now," Lily said, her voice filled with regret. Thomas also stood up and gently patted Lily's head. "Thank you for the sandwich and the lovely conversation," he said, his eyes warm. "You brought me joy." "Why?" Lily beamed. "You're welcome, sir. I'm so glad I met you." She bid farewell to Thomas and turned to leave. Her small figure gradually disappeared into the twilight. Thomas stood still, watching her go, the warmth in his heart lingering. In the cozy little kitchen, the aroma of food filled the air. Mary set the dinner table, anxiously glancing at the clock. The hour hand had passed 6 and Lily was still not home. Usually she came home immediately after school, but today she was later than usual, making Mary worry. On the dining table, the simple dishes that Mary had painstakingly prepared looked tempting. A bowl of hot vegetable soup steamed invitingly, a plate of fragrant braised fish, and a plate of boiled morning glory. Mary had put all her heart into this meal, hoping her daughter would have a delicious dinner after a long day at school. But Lily was still not home. Mary couldn't sit still. She paced back and forth, occasionally looking out the window, hoping to see the familiar small figure. Outside, darkness had enveloped the surroundings, leaving only the faint glow of streetlights. Mary grew more and more anxious. She decided to go out and look for Lily. As soon as she opened the door, Mary saw Lily standing right in front of her, her face radiant, her eyes sparkling. In her hand was a pale purple wildflower, its petals still glistening with dewdrops. "Mom, I'm home," Lily exclaimed, running to hug her mother. Mary breathed a sigh of relief, holding her daughter tightly. "Why are you so late? I was so worried." Her voice was choked with emotion. Lily looked up at her mother, her eyes filled with remorse. "I'm sorry, Mom. Today I met an old man." She excitedly told her mother about her encounter with Thomas, about the sandwich, and about the stories they had shared. Mary listened and nodded, occasionally asking a few more questions. "He looked so pitiful, Mom," Lily said, her voice filled with compassion. "I think he was very hungry, so I gave him my sandwich." Mary stroked Lily's head, her eyes both tender and worried. "You're such a kind girl. But next time, don't approach strangers on your own. There are so many dangers lurking out there." Lily nodded obediently. "I know, Mom, but he seemed so sad and lonely. I just wanted to help him a little." Mary looked at her daughter, her heart filled with pride and a touch of sadness. She knew Lily had a kind heart, always ready to help others. But she also feared that her daughter's innocence and naivety would make her vulnerable. "Come on, let's eat." "The food's getting cold," Mary said, taking Lily's hand and leading her inside. Dinner passed in a warm atmosphere. Lily told her mother about the fun things that happened at school, and Mary told her daughter fairy tales. The sound of their laughter dispelled the worries and fatigue of a long day. Night fell, and the small apartment was enveloped in silence. Lily was fast asleep, her face innocent and peaceful. Mary lay beside her daughter, but sleep evaded her. The image of the haggard man with the sad eyes that Lily described kept appearing in her mind. Mary was worried. She couldn't help but blame herself for not giving her daughter more detailed warnings. If only she had finished work earlier, if only she had picked Lily up from school, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Mary knew she had spoiled Lily too much. Since her husband left, she had poured all her love into her daughter, trying to compensate for Lily's emotional deprivation. She always believed in the goodness of people, teaching Lily to love and help others. But she forgot that the world wasn't always a good place. There were bad people who would take advantage of others' kindness. Mary tossed and turned, unable to sleep. She was afraid that Lily would be in danger. She was afraid that her daughter would get hurt. She was afraid that she wouldn't be strong enough to protect Lily from the pitfalls of life. Mary recalled her own childhood. She had also been a naive and innocent girl, believing in good things. But then life taught her many bitter lessons. She had witnessed unfortunate situations, people living in misery. She had been deceived and taken advantage of. Mary didn't want Lily to go through the same things. She wanted her daughter to grow up safe, protected from bad things. But she also didn't want Lily to lose her inherent innocence and kindness. Mary sighed. She knew she couldn't always shield Lily. Sooner or later, her daughter would have to face life's challenges. The important thing was to teach Lily how to protect herself, how to distinguish right from wrong, and how to prevent her kindness from being exploited. Mary decided to have a serious talk with Lily the next morning. She would teach her daughter how to deal with strangers and how to recognize dangerous situations. She would teach Lily that kindness was precious, but it had to be used wisely. Mary looked at her sleeping daughter, her heart filled with love and worry. She silently prayed for Lily's safety and happiness. The morning sunlight crept through the gap in the curtains, illuminating the small room and waking Lily from her peaceful sleep. She rubbed her eyes, stretched, and smiled to greet the new day. Today was Saturday, no school, and Lily would get to stay home and play with her mother all day. In the kitchen, Mary was busy preparing breakfast. The sizzling of oil in the pan, the aroma of toast mixed with the faint scent of coffee, created a cozy and peaceful atmosphere. Lily skipped into the kitchen, kissed her mother on the cheek, and sat down at the table. "Good morning, Mommy," Lily chirped. What delicious things are you making today?" Mary smiled and placed a plate of toast and a hot cup of milk in front of her daughter. "Good morning, my love. Today I made honey toast and hot milk for you." The two of them chatted happily while having breakfast. Lily told her mother about her dream last night, and Mary asked her daughter about her plans for the day. Suddenly, a rapid knock on the door echoed, breaking the peaceful atmosphere. Mary was startled, her heart pounding. A sense of foreboding crept into her heart. Lily also looked up at her mother, her big round eyes filled with curiosity. Mary stood up and walked to the door. Two policemen in stern uniforms stood before her. Mary's face turned pale, worry etched on her features. "Hello, we're police officers," one of them said, his voice calm. "Are you Mary Lily's mother?" Mary nodded, her voice trembling. "Yes, I am Mary. What's the matter?" "We would like to ask Lily a few questions," the officer said. "Could she come out and talk to us for a moment?" Lily stepped out, holding her mother's hand tightly. She looked at the two officers with apprehension. "Lily, do you remember the man you met in the park yesterday afternoon?" one officer asked. Lily nodded. "Yes, I remember. His name is Thomas. Can you describe him for us?" Lily described Thomas in detail, from his gray hair and beard to his sad eyes and ragged clothes. Mary stood beside her, her heart pounding. She was terrified, wondering what Thomas had done and how Lily was involved. The officers listened to Lily, occasionally taking notes. They asked a few more questions about the conversation between Lily and Thomas, about the time and place they met. Mary grew increasingly uneasy. The officer's vagueness made her extremely worried. Finally, one officer said, "Lily, thank you for your cooperation. Mr. Thomas is currently in the hospital. He fainted in the park last night. We just wanted to verify some information." Mary's heart skipped a beat. "Is he all right?" she asked urgently. "He's receiving medical care," the officer replied. "We'll let you know if there's any further information." With that, the two officers said goodbye and left. Mary closed the door, leaned against the wall, and gasped for breath. She felt dizzy and scared. Lily looked at her mother, her innocent eyes filled with worry. "Mom, what's wrong? What happened to Mr. Thomas?" Mary tried to calm down and hugged her daughter. "It's okay, honey. He's just sick. Let's pray that he gets well soon." As they walked, Mary said to Lily, "Lily," Mary began, her voice more serious than usual, "I know you're a kind girl who always wants to help people. But you have to remember that not everyone is as good as Mr. Thomas." Lily looked up at her mother, her big round eyes full of questions. "Mom, what do you mean?" Mary sighed and explained, "You're still young, and you can't tell who is good and who is bad. Some people may seem friendly, but inside they harbor bad intentions. They might take advantage of your kindness to do bad things." Mary told Lily about cases of children being lured and kidnapped by strangers that she had read about in the newspapers. Mary's voice dropped, and her eyes showed worry. "Lily, you have to be very careful. Never go with strangers, don't accept gifts or toys from them, and never reveal your personal information to them." Lily listened attentively, her eyes showing a hint of fear. She had never thought that her kindness could lead to such terrible consequences. "Mom, so I can't help anyone anymore?" Lily asked sadly. Mary stroked her daughter's head, comforting her. "That's not true, my love. You can still help others, but you have to choose the right people and the right circumstances. If you see someone who needs help, tell me, or find adults you trust, like your teacher or the security guard." Mary emphasized, "Remember, Lily, your safety is the most important thing. Never act alone without an adult present." Lily nodded obediently. She understood that her mother was worried about her, and she would try to follow her advice. But in Mary's heart, the worries lingered. She couldn't shake off the feeling of unease, the premonition that something bad was about to happen. A sudden drizzle swept over the apartment complex, enveloping it in a misty haze. Mary and Lily, clad in raincoats, strolled hand in hand through the courtyard. The chilly, damp atmosphere added to the somber mood. Lily kicked small pebbles as she walked, occasionally glancing up at her mother, her large eyes filled with questions. The police officer's visit this morning had left her feeling uneasy. Lily didn't understand what had happened to Mr. Thomas or why the police had come to see her. Mary silently observed her daughter. She noticed the worry in Lily's eyes but didn't know how to explain things to her. Mary simply squeezed her daughter's hand tighter, hoping that everything would be all right. Suddenly, Lily stopped, her gaze drawn to a group of people huddled together, murmuring amongst themselves. They were familiar neighbors who usually exchanged greetings. But today, there was something different in the way they looked at Lily and Mary. Lily overheard whispers and veiled comments. "I heard the police went to Mary's apartment. It seems like little Lily caused some trouble. Poor girl, so young. Kindness misplaced." Lily was confused, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. She didn't know what she had done wrong. Mary frowned, annoyed by the gossip. She pulled Lily's hand and quickened their pace, trying to ignore the curious and scrutinizing stares. The two of them walked along the small path, and the quiet returned. But those whispers still echoed in Mary's ears. She felt helpless, angry, and heartbroken for her daughter. Mary hadn't expected Lily's kindness to become the subject of gossip among the neighbors. She wondered how the news of Thomas fainting had spread. Could the police have disclosed it? Or had curious neighbors overheard their conversation? Whatever the reason, Mary felt uncomfortable. She didn't want Lily to be scrutinized and judged. She was just an innocent child acting out of kindness. Mary just wished everything would calm down soon so Lily could continue to live happily and carefree as before. On their way back to the apartment, Lily and Mary encountered Mrs. Barbara, their next-door neighbor. Mrs. Barbara was an African-American woman who had immigrated here many years ago. She always had a warm smile for everyone and was known for her kindness and helpfulness. Seeing Lily and Mary's sad expressions, Mrs. Barbara approached them. "Mary, what's wrong? I saw the police at your apartment this morning. Is Lily okay?" Mrs. Barbara asked with concern, her voice carrying a hint of her American accent. Mary sighed and told Miss Barbara about Lily meeting Thomas in the park and the police visit this morning. She also shared about the neighbors' gossip, which made Lily feel sad and embarrassed. After listening to the story, Mrs. Barbara smiled gently and patted Lily's shoulder. "Your granddaughter is such a kind girl. Don't pay attention to what people say. Your kindness is precious, never lose it." Then she turned to Mary, her voice full of encouragement. "Mary, don't worry too much. Lily is a well-behaved and sensible girl. You raised her well. Have faith in your daughter." Mrs. Barbara paused for a moment, her gaze distant, as if reminiscing about something. Then she continued, her voice warm. "There's a lovely saying. Kindness is like snowflakes. It beautifies everything it falls on. Lily has sown the snowflakes of kindness in this life. Be proud of your daughter." Mrs. Barbara's words were like a soothing balm, easing Mary's worries. She felt warmer and more confident. Mary knew she had done the right thing by teaching Lily to love and help others. Kindness might bring trouble, but it was also the most precious thing in the world. Mary stroked Lily's head, her eyes both tender and worried. "You're such a kind girl. But next time, don't approach strangers on your own. There are so many dangers lurking out there." In the following days, life for Lily and her mother returned to its familiar rhythm. Mary still went to work from early morning until late afternoon, and Lily diligently attended school. But in Mary's heart, questions about Thomas lingered. She couldn't help but wonder about the mysterious man, whether he had recovered, and what his life was like. Sometimes, when the two of them were having dinner, Lily would mention Thomas. She would talk about the stories he told, his kind smile, and his distant, sad eyes. Lily worried about whether Thomas was okay and if anyone was taking care of him. Mary listened to her daughter, her heart filled with compassion. She felt sorry for Thomas, the lonely, unfortunate man. She also felt sorry for Lily, the girl with a kind heart who always cared about others. Mary wanted to learn more about Thomas, but she didn't know where to start. The police had only said that he was in the hospital, but they didn't provide the name of the hospital or any other information. Mary was also hesitant to ask the neighbors, fearing they would gossip and judge. One evening, after Lily had fallen asleep, Mary secretly took out her phone and searched for information about homeless people who had been hospitalized recently. She hoped to find some clue about Thomas. Mary scrolled through numerous news articles and images, but she couldn't find anyone who resembled Thomas. She sighed in disappointment. Perhaps she would never know what had happened to the man. But then, an idea flashed through Mary's mind. She remembered the pale purple wildflower that Lily had brought home that day. Lily said that Thomas had given her the flower. Maybe that was the only clue to finding Thomas. Mary decided to take Lily to the park the next day, where she had met Thomas. Perhaps Lily would remember something else, or, with any luck, they might even encounter Thomas there again. Mary put down her phone, her heart filled with hope. She believed that if fate allowed, she would find Thomas and help him. The next day, Mary took a half-day off from work to go to the park with Lily. The two of them strolled along the familiar path, Lily excitedly telling her mother about the games she usually played with her friends there. Mary listened, but her eyes were constantly searching for the familiar figure of Thomas. They reached the old oak tree where Lily had met Thomas, but the spot was empty, with only fallen yellow leaves remaining. Lily was a little disappointed. She looked up at her mother, her eyes sad. "Mom, where's Mr. Thomas?" Mary stroked Lily's head, comforting her. "Maybe he's gone somewhere else, honey. Don't be sad." The two of them sat down on a bench, silently observing the surroundings. The park was peaceful today, with only the chirping of birds and the distant sounds of children playing. Mary was still stunned, but she quickly regained her composure and invited Thomas into their home. The three of them sat down on the sofa, the atmosphere slightly awkward. Thomas cleared his throat and began to tell his story. He was a wealthy businessman, the owner of a large company. Not long ago, he had a serious car accident that caused him to lose his memory. He wandered around, not knowing who he was or where he came from. "When I met Lily, I felt warmth and sincerity from her," Thomas said, his voice filled with emotion. "She gave me a sandwich and talked to me like a friend. That awakened beautiful memories of my family and helped me remember who I am." Thomas continued, explaining that after meeting Lily, he went to the hospital for a checkup. The doctors confirmed that his memory was gradually returning. He was able to contact his family and had now returned to his normal life. "I am incredibly grateful to Lily," Thomas said, taking her hand. "She is my benefactor." Mary listened to the story, her heart overflowing with emotion. She was both happy for Thomas and proud of her daughter. Thomas looked at Mary, his eyes full of gratitude. "I am very impressed with how you raised Lily. She is such a well-behaved and kind girl. I would like to help her with her education." Mary was surprised and confused. She didn't know what to say. Thomas smiled, his voice sincere. "Please give me this opportunity. I want to repay Lily's kindness, and I believe she will do great things in the future." Thomas smiled, his eyes looking at Lily with affection. "Lily, do you have any wishes you want to fulfill? I can help you." "You." Lily looked up at Thomas, her big round eyes thoughtful. She didn't answer immediately but remained silent for a long time, as if pondering her own thoughts. Mary also looked at her daughter curiously, wondering what she would wish for. Finally, Lily raised her head, her eyes shining. "Mr. Thomas, I want to help the homeless." Lily's answer surprised both Thomas and Mary. Thomas looked at her, touched by her kindness and compassion. He hadn't expected an 8-year-old girl to think of those less fortunate than herself. "Why do you want to help them?" Thomas asked gently. "Because I feel sorry for them," Lily replied, her voice filled with emotion. "They have no home to live in, no food to eat. They have to sleep on the streets, endure cold and hunger. I want to help them have a better life." Thomas listened silently, his heart swelling with emotion. He saw in Lily the image of a little angel with a heart full of love. He remembered his days of wandering and hardship when he was homeless, enduring hunger, cold, and loneliness. He understood the suffering of the homeless and was even more impressed by Lily's compassion. Mary, too, silently observed her daughter, tears welling up in her eyes. She was proud of Lily, of her kind and compassionate heart. Mary knew that Lily had learned this from her, from the lessons of love and sharing that she had always taught her daughter. Thomas took Lily's hand, his voice choked with emotion. "Thank you, Lily. You have shown me the true meaning of life. I will help you fulfill this dream." He looked at Mary, his eyes determined. "Let's build a shelter for the homeless where they can have food, shelter, and medical care. We will name it Lily's house to remember your kindness." Mary nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. She knew this was a noble mission, and they would accomplish it together. Lily beamed and hugged Thomas tightly. "Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I love you." In that small room, 3 people with different destinies had found each other, connected by the threads of kindness and love. Together, they nurtured a dream of a better world where no one would have to suffer homelessness, where no one would have to live in loneliness and despair. The story of Lily and Mr. Thomas was like a warm breeze blowing through the city, spreading everywhere. From the narrow alleys to the towering buildings, people talked about the 8-year-old girl with a kind heart. Newspapers and television reported on Lily, praising her kindness for awakening the conscience of so many people. Lily suddenly became the city's little hero. She was invited to schools and community events to share her story. Lily stood on stage, her voice clear, telling about her fateful encounter with Mr. Thomas and her dream of helping the homeless. Every time Lily appeared, people gave her warm applause and admiring glances. Lily was not arrogant or conceited. She remained innocent and pure, always smiling radiantly at everyone. Touched by Lily's story, the Wilson family decided to establish a charity fund in her name, Lily's Fund, Fostering Love. This fund aimed to help the homeless by providing them with shelter, food, clothing, and medical support. Lily and Mary became active members of the fund. They participated in various charitable activities together, from donating clothes and supplies to cooking and caring for the homeless at social shelters. Lily was always the most enthusiastic. She wasn't afraid of hardship, always ready to do anything to help others. Lily talked to the homeless, listened to their life stories, and shared joy and hope with them. Mary looked at her daughter, her heart filled with pride. She was happy to have raised such a well-behaved and kind child. Mary believed that Lily would continue to spread kindness and love to those around her, contributing to building a better society. Lily's Fund, Fostering Love, continued to grow, attracting support from many people in the city. Many charity houses were built, and many programs to support the homeless were implemented. Lily, the girl with a golden heart, had sown the seeds of kindness everywhere, and those seeds sprouted, blossomed, and bore fruit, bringing hope and happiness to unfortunate lives. Time passed, and Lily gradually grew up. The little girl was now a beautiful and talented young woman, but no matter where she was or what she did, Lily always kept her kind heart, always ready to help those less fortunate. Lily's Fund, Fostering Love, continued to operate, spreading kindness and hope to the community. Lily's story is a testament to the magical power of kindness. Even a small act, coming from a sincere heart, can create great changes, bringing happiness to oneself and those around. Do you believe in the power of kindness? Have you ever done a good deed for a stranger? Share your story with us. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow other meaningful stories.